Namaskar, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, students and scholars, teachers and trainers, professors, professionals, officers, officials, listener learners. I welcome all respected doctors and directors. I welcome honorable ministers and managers. I welcome honorable advocates, judges, administrative advisors. I welcome the most honorable presenters, Modi ji. It is really nice time, nice place, nice section today that we are describing our holy Indian cultural identities in the form of unity, diversity, what is happening around us, politically, economically, socially, what changes we see, we observe around us. Let us go through today. Alas, passes nuclear energy will allow privatization. Congress protest Shanti Bill, which removes clause holding equipment supplier responsible for failure. Question its timing and interest shot by conglomerate house. Center defends the bill. News from New Delhi. The Lok Sabha on Wednesday passed the Sustainable Harnessing and Advancement of Nuclear Energy for Transforming India, Shanti Bill 2025, despite demands by several opposition parliamentarians for referring the legislation to a parliamentary panel. The bill, which aims to incentivize private sector participation, both Indian and foreign, into nuclear power production, now moves to the Rajya Sabha for discussion, following which it can become law. Congress MP Manish Tiwari, who opened discussions on the bill following introductory remarks by Science Minister Jitendra Singh, sought to know if it was a coincidence that the legislation enabling private sector participation in the nuclear sector coincided with interest expressed by the conglomerate house Adani in November to enter the nuclear sector. Mr. Singh evidenced uproar in the House following this. He retorted that the bill had nothing to do with any specific company and such any aspersion brought disrepute to the House. Mr. Tiwari also burrowed into what is perhaps the most significant element of the bill, the removal of a clause in the existing Civil Liability for Nuclear Damage Act 2010 that allows the operator of a nuclear power plant to claim recourse from suppliers if their equipment was found being responsible in case of an accident. India calls for safety as protesters marched to mission in Dhaka from New Delhi hours after radical group in Dhaka announced a march to the Indian High Commission on Wednesday afternoon to protest India's alleged interference in Bangladesh politics. The Ministry of External Affairs in New Delhi summoned the High Commissioner of Bangladesh, Riyaz Hamidullah, and reminded him about his government's responsibility to ensure the security and safety of India's mission and visa facilities in Bangladesh. India completely rejects the false narratives sought to be created by extremist elements regarding certain recent events in Bangladesh. The MEA said in a statement after the meeting with Mr. Hamidullah. The July IPO Manko, which called for the march, sought the return of fascist Hasina and other murderers in a reference towards ousted Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, who now lives in India. It also called for an end to the It also called for an end to the unchecked conspiracy by India's proxy political party, media, and officials. Kushwaha came to learn from international stars at HIN from New Delhi. At 14, Captain Kushwaha is unaware of his record, but the Jhansi boy will be the youngest hockey player in a professional league at the Hockey India League this season. A trainee at the UP Sports Hostel in Lucknow, Kushwaha was picked up by defending champion Sarachi Bengal Tigers at the auction in September for with base price of 2.5 lakh rupees. And while the amount may not seem much, Kushwaha admits he was looking forward to the experience and lessons from some of the top international stars. It will be a great learning experience to play with international stars and Olympians from India and other countries, but I also hope to enjoy my time. I saw all the hill matches last year and really like the competition. I will try my best to contribute in any way I can to ensure we retain the title. Yeshai Kushwaha told personals among his teammates will be India star Abhishek Nen and German legend Christopher Ruhl, two of the best in the business, especially given Kushwa's preferred role of a striker or a linkman. Having first started playing at the age of 6 years following the footsteps of his elder brother, Kushwaha has been training in Lucknow for the past 3 years under former India player Rajneesh Mishra. The coach only suggested we fill up the player registration forms for the hill. There were other boys also from the hostel. He said it will help us in getting experience, develop our game, learn new things, and also improve our chances of playing for India one day. I did not understand much then, but I trust my coach completely. He will not give wrong advice. Kushwaha insisted, among others, in help with him will be state bats. Afan, Yusuf and Atul Deep. I have spoken to them and they said they will like it and learn a lot. They spoke about teamwork, unity, listening to each other but not to take too much stress. But I want to prove myself to the team, the class ninth student who also plays for Indian Oil as a scholarship student declared. LKS splits with coach Ferrero from Paris. A different from demanding route for 25K this year. May the best country win Olympics, yes it says. Every country has a right to bid and host the Olympics. This Dembele Bonati scoop FIFA Best Awards. Satwik Chirag Open BWF World Tour Finals with win. Amanjeet Darshana claims mixed team speed gold. Tendulkar meets champion Indian blind. Tendulkar meets champion Indian blind women's team, preparing the juniors to take up bigger challenges, says Sarjees. Says Rijesh from Chennai, India's junior men's hockey team coach PR Srijesh on Wednesday shared that winning the Junior World Cup bronze medal has instilled a renewed sense of belief among the young players. Their confidence level is really high right now. They feel like they can achieve much more in their career and life. He said on the sidelines of the second edition of the Tamil Nadu Sports Conclave here on how he sees the team's evolution since taking over as coach. The 37-year-old shared their way of approaching the game has changed. You need a lot of mental preparation to approach a game, and that's what we see here. Players always do. We share our experience, telling them how to prepare for a match. They have evolved a lot individually as well, outlining his role in readying the youngsters for the demands of senior international hockey they shared. My duty is to tell them what they need to expect in the future. It's not going to be easier like this with the senior team. There will be tougher challenges. The European teams and Australia are far superior, so prepare them to take big challenges. This Junior World Cup launch is the benchmark for them. This is the basic starting line for them. From here, they need to live up their life. He picked up goalkeeper Prince Deep Singh, captain Mahendra Dhoni, midfielders Ankit Pal, Mandeep Singh, and Roshan Kuzur, and forward Ashdeep Singh as the players who are already capable of breaking into the senior core group. Resetting NRR calculations for the Super League was unfair, Sadhu says from Pune. After defending champion Mumbai crashed out of the Shahid Mushtaq Ali Trophy despite winning two out of its three games in the Super League phase. Captain Sadul Thakur expressed his disappointment over the net run rate rule in the tournament. According to the rules, the NRR was counted from scratch for the Super League, and after three Super League games, if multiple teams were on equal points, then instead of looking at the head-to-head figures, the NRR was taken into consideration. That hurt teams like Mumbai, Hyderabad, and Andhra. It wasn't disappointing campaign for us at all because we have played very good cricket in the whole tournament and we have just dropped two games. Hyderabad lost it was because that stupid rule of revising an RR again in the Super League. The rule told personal before reaching the finals, you cannot revise the NRR rule again. There is no point having to separate NRRs in the group stage and the Super League phase. In such a case, no matter how many games you win, you could still go out of the tournament and the hype and the happened. So it's really unfair on the teams that are doing well. Shadul said it definitely needs to be thought out. And I feel that the NRL should be uniform uh, from game one until the end of the Super League to give the team a level playing field. Preparing the juniors to take up bigger challenges is Rajesh. The medal title beacons were released to Haryana and Jharkhand. The captain Ankit and Kisa have led from the front with consistent batting. Dew will be a major factor, making the toss all the more crucial. There is obviously a bit of pressure, but you have to keep yourself calm and keep the nerves in control. Kishan says, for Pune, after 3 weeks of high octane cricketing action, two young teams, Haryana and Jharkhand, will chase their Madam Shahid Mushtaq Ali Trophy title when they feature in the final at the NC Stadium Here on Thursday, both Captain Ishan Kisan and Ankit Kumar have led from the front with consistent batting performance. However, the two teams have had different journeys in the tournament. Jharkhand remained undefeated in 9 games through the group phase at the Super League stage, but went down to Andhra on Tuesday. For Haryana, every game has been like a knockout. According to its captain, Ankit placed in Group A, defending champion Mumbai, Rajasthan, and Hyderabad. Haryana overcame a defeat in its Super League match against Mumbai. It put up a dominant performance in the final game against Hyderabad to improve its batting rate and storm into the final. Ankit has had a dream run, amazing 448 runs in 10 innings, and has been vital in Haryana's strategy of attacking in the power play. They will be a major factor in the final, making toss, making the toss all the more crucial. Keeping that in mind, Haryana would expect its fast bowlers, Anshul Kamboj and Ishan Bhardwaj to take charge. And each start with the ball would allow Haryana to unleash off spinner Amit Rana. As Jharkhand captain Kishan pointed out, his side would stick to his stride and tested formula. With Virat Singh back among runs after a few forgettable outings, the team would hope to make the most of the power play on the flat deck. Jharkhand will win its course on Vikas Singh and Sushant Mishra to keep things under control and clinch the title. Match starts at 4:30 p.m. Ishan Kishan says there is obviously a bit of pressure, but you have to keep yourself calm and keep the nerves in control. World Tennis League starts off on a cheerful note from Bengaluru. A sports exhibition is a double-edged sword. There is a certain detachment that it maintains from fierce competition, which a purist may liken no trivializing, but it also brings a support closer to an audience otherwise starved of watching its favorite players in flesh and blood. The opening day of the fourth edition of the World Tennis League at the SM Krishna Stadium, there was a mix of everything. The quality was a couple of notches below elite level, but there was fun and frolic, keeping the sizable crowd bubbling. There was also a sprinkling of stardust with the most high-profile visitor being the legendary Kapil Dev. It had that feel of the biggest showman in tennis was in action, IPL, where talent meets opportunity is from Abu Dhabi. Just like mutual fund, investment are subject to market risk. The Indian Premier League option valuation also have rider. A player's selling price does not necessarily reflect his worth on the field. With a sharp surge in uncapped domestic cricketers' earnings during Tuesday's auction. Akash Ambani, Mumbai Indians team owner, offered a word of caution to the youngsters. Generally, very happy for the uncapped players. They should remember that the auction is a place of demand and supply and not where the price on the head. It's about when your name comes up and what slots our team looking to fill. Akash Ambani shared. Shahid Goenka, the Lucknow Super Giants owner, stated the uncapped player salary reflects the growth of the IPL. One of the key founding principles of the IPL was to grow domestically. I think the IPL has come a long way in furthering that cause, he said. It also means that the franchisee will have to be extra vigilant to ensure the price tag pressure does not affect young Indian talent. Whenever you can get a strong core of local players, the team is in good shape. Sometimes you have to invest time in that and also money because what is happening is the scouting on numerous tournaments around India is becoming very important. Chennai's Super Kings head coach Stephen Fleming said, this year Hampi Harika powered Mumbai Masters to big win from Mumbai. They have kept the flag of Indian women's chess flying high for years. Koneru and Hampi and Niharika are now into their 30s and have families to look after too. The two Telugu-speaking women on Wednesday delivered when their team needed at the Royal Opera House. The wins by Hampi and Harika were instrumental in upgrade Mumbai, upgrade Mumbai Masters sitting to Queen against PBG. Alaskan Knights for which the nightmare continues as it still is looking for a victory. Excessive form rules outplay in the first T21 from Lucknow. The first T21 between India and South Africa at the Ekana Stadium on Wednesday was abandoned due to excessive fog. This is the first time a T21 in India has been called off owing to fog. India is ahead to one in the five-match series with the final game scheduled to be held in Ahmedabad on Friday, December 19. Washington conditions KN Anand, Padmanabh Bhavan and Rohan Pandit, the on-field umpires along with reserve umpire J.R. Madan Gopal had many instructions before calling off the game at 9:30 p.m. as the conditions worsened. Initially, visibility near the dawn on boundary at the pavilion and was good, but by 8 p.m. a haze had engulfed most of the stadium. The spectators who had waited patiently began throwing things onto the field before the final inspection. The security personnel restored order quickly. Fog has often affected matches, especially the domestic ones at this time of the year in North India. Hazards levels. According to the AQI website, the air quality in Lucknow on Wednesday exceeded 400 and was in the hazards levels. India all-rounder Hardik Pandya was spotted wearing a protective face mask during the pre-match routine, raising questions about allowing games to this season during winter. In 2017, during the third test between India and Sri Lanka, play was interrupted on the second day due to high pollution after a few Lankan players complained of breathing issues. Pacers Lakman also suffered a bout of vomiting during the test. Gill injured. It is learned that Shubman Gill suffered a toe injury but training on the eve of the game and would not have played on Wednesday. Gill's participation in the final match of the series is also in doubt. Emotional carry slam the century gives Austin he left and celebrates the moment in honor of his father who died of cancer in September. Father makes the most of his return with the fighting now Archer Fires of England from Adelaide. In emotional, Alex Carey slammed a majestic 106 on his home ground when Usman Khwaja, it defined 82 on Wednesday to put Australia in the driving seat of the third Ashes Test against England. Show of the day batting after captain Pat Cumming won the toss as temperature topped 36 Celsius at Adelaide Oval. The host was 326 for 8 at stumps on day one after the shock of Steve Smith's day ruled out with illness. At close, Michelle Stark was not out 33 and Nathan Leon yet to score. To make 100 here in front of home, friends and family was a special and emotional carry called Australian TV. As he celebrated his maiden ashes stone, Carey gestured towards the sky in a nod to his father Gordon, who died from cancer in September. A tireless Jofra Archer ended with 3 for 29 on a tough day for England's bowlers in the field. Australia wins the 5 Test series 2-0 and will retain the Ashes if it wins or draws after back-to-back 8 wicket victories in Perth and Brisbane. Smith's absence gave an unexpected debut to Khwaja, who turns 39 on Thursday and had been overlooked as opener in favor of Travis Head and Jack Weatherford. Khwaja, who missed Brisbane after suffering back spasm in Perth, grabbed his chance in a strike note. He was eventually out just before tea, slog sweeping to Joseph Kang in the deeps of spinner Will Jacks. Carey picked up the mantle first alongside Josh in 32, when Pat Cummins 13 and also Stark, who once more showed his prowess with the bat. A blistering first over after lunch from Archer had left Australia leading at 94 for 4. He removed Barnash Lavish gun for 19 with his first ball of the 12. The two deliveries later, Cameron Green was gone with Braden Fish collecting catches at mid-wicket to dismiss ball. English and Cummins fell in the final session to Tang and Cast respectively. Players from both teams were black and bench as a mark of respect to the victims of the body wish mass shooting. Parish Pathar to reunite after 20 years of Kolkata's lightning. To be an emotional moment on Thursday evening for many Kolkatans who were in college in 1990s when they watched the Bengali band Pash Pathar erase at the time reunite for a performance after 20 years. National Herald case, Haryana Congress accuses Center for Misusing Government Agencies, Chandigarh. The Haryana Congress on Wednesday staged a protest outside the Bharatiya Janata Party state office in Panchkula following the Delhi High Court's rejection of the Enforcement Directorate auction. Enforcement Directorate's action surrounding money laundering allegations in the National Herald case. Congress Party's MLAs, former MLA, district presidents and workers staged the sit-in protest and shouted slogans against the central government, accusing it of misusing agencies and termed the action as a political vendetta. As a political vendetta, former Chief Minister and leader of the opposition, Bhupinder Singh Hooda, said the court has declared the ED's action illegal, making it clear that the central government is misusing agencies to target opposition leaders. False cases were filed against Congress leaders due to political malice, but now the truth has prevailed in court. The case against former Congress President Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi was politically motivated, he said, and an Congress President Ram Narendra Singh said Congress workers across the country have protested outside BJP offices and other presence is the immense public anger against the BJP's illegal and unconstitutional activities in all sections. Pakistan Airlines balloon sightings, Himachal Pradesh police in touch with Punjab, Rajasthan. News from Shimla. Delhi government to develop carpooling and to tackle pollution from Delhi. Delhi Environment Minister Manjinder Singh Sirsa on Wednesday announced the government is in the process of making an app for carpooling to reduce pollution caused by vehicular emission. We are trying to make a carpooling app for Delhi. There will be options for people to use their car for carpooling or to travel via carpooling, Mr. Sirsa said when addressing the media. Delhi's 24-hour average air quality index AQI was 334, very poor at 4 p.m. on Wednesday, down from 10:45, very poor a day earlier as per the Central Pollution Control Board's daily official bulletin. It is likely to remain in the same level for the next 3 years, for the next 3 days, the weather bulletin said. Overhaul of PUC Center, Mr. Sesna is also said to. Mr. Sesna also said the government is planning an overhaul of the pollution under control certificate issuing centers and working towards an integrated traffic management system. We said that the PUC certificate issuing centers are over 15 years old and there are many shortcomings with them. We are doing an overhaul of the PUC centers and there will be provisions for third-party audits of them, Mr. Sesna said. Regarding the traffic management system, he said all traffic signals will be interconnected. Now they are working individually and because of that traffic congestion increases, he added. The minister also said the government is collaborating with Google Maps and Map India to identify congestion and pollution hotspots. We are going to have a tie-up with Map India and Google Maps today. We have a meeting with Google Maps to identify major traffic congestion and air pollution hotspots using the data available with them, he said. An additional 140 new MRS mechanical road sweepers, 1,000 liter pickers, and around 300 water sprinkles will also be used to tackle dust. Peace restored in Punjab jail today after inmates clashed with police, prison authorities, including the jail superintendent, and some inmates were injured in the fight. From Ludhiana, peace was restored in Ludhiana Central Jail on Wednesday, a day after a violent clash between inmates and the police left several, including the superintendent, injured. According to sources, around 200 inmates attacked the police near one of the barracks. People present outside the jail complex claimed that silence could be heard from inside for nearly 20 minutes. ACP East Summit source that a case has been registered and investigation is on into what exactly transpired. The incident occurred late on Tuesday evening after a scuffle breaking out between prisoners and officials, sources said. Jail officials who tried to break up the fight were attacked by inmates. Jail Superintendent Kuldeep, Jail Superintendent Kulwan Sidhu was hit on the head with a brick. He is under treatment at a private hospital. Jail Deputy Superintendent of Prisons Jagdish Singh, station house officer at least two CRPF personnel and some inmates were also injured. Punjab Jail Minister Jagdish Singh Willard has sought a detailed report from the prison authorities, the source said. Pakistan says it shut down 42 refugee campus housing of Afghans for 4 decades from Peshawar, the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province of Pakistan. On Wednesday said it had shut down as many as 42 campuses that had housed Afghan refugees for over 40 years. Millions of Afghan refugees crossed into Pakistan after the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in 1979. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, being a bordering province, hosted the largest number of these refugees for decades. Authorities maintain that the closure of the almost 45-year-old refugees camps aims to streamline the system of refugee residence and registration in the province that to ensure the elimination of illegal and unregulated camp residents. Officials also said the process of closure of the campus was carried out in a phased manner. The provincial government has duly informed the federal government about the latest developments. The sausage said the primary objective behind the closure of the campus was to take the repatriation of Afghan refugees to its logical conclusion, said officials following the shutdown. The volunteer repatriation process has also gained momentum with more than 3 lakh refugees preparing their return to Afghanistan. Director Rob Reiner's son faces charges for murder of parents from Los Angeles, the son of famed Hollywood director Rob Reiner was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder over the brutal slaying of his parents. The chief prosecutor of Los Angeles said on Tuesday. Nick Reiner, 32, who was a history of substance abuse stretching back to his teenage years, could face life in prison without the possibility of parole or the death penalty if convicted over the killings that shocked the Hollywood. The district attorney's office said Nick Reiner had been charged with 2 counts of murder with a special circumstance allegation of multiple murders. He also faced a special allegation that he personally used a dangerous and deadly weapon, a knife he carried. Nick Reiner is expected to be arraigned as soon as he is able to appear at a Los Angeles courthouse. Janta Junta says Suki in good health after son rages alarm from Reuters. Myanmar's junta said on Tuesday that detained former leader Aung San Suu Kyi is in good health. A day after her son called Luton, he has received little information about the 80 years old's condition and fears she could die without him knowing. In an interview, Kim Ali said that he had not heard from the mother in years and believed she is being held in Myanmar's capital, Naypyidaw. US levels Venezuela government a terrorist regime orders and of blockade of oil tankers. Donald Trump's announcement came days after the US seized a tanker carrying Venezuelan crude off its coast, tightening its stranglehold over Maduro's regime. Crude sales represent more than 90% of the South American country's export income from Stanley Johnny. US President Donald Trump has ordered a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers entering and leaving Venezuela and leveled the government of President Nicolas Maduro, a foreign terrorist organization, sharply escalating his special campaign against the South American nation. In a social media post, Mr. Trump said the illegitimate Maduro regime is using oil from the field stolen from the US to finance themselves for the theft of our assets and many other reasons, including terrorism, drug smuggling, and human trafficking. The Venezuelan regime has been designated a foreign terrorist organization. Lord Mr. Trump, therefore today I am ordering a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers going into and out of Venezuela. Mr. Trump's announcement came days after the US seized a tanker carrying Venezuela crude off its coast, tightening its strain, tightening its stranglehold over the Maduro regime. The US has already carried out dozens of airstrikes in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific waters on boats which it said were carrying drugs. The US is also building up military presence around Venezuela, triggering speculations that it could start a new bombing campaign inside the country. The US says the Maduro regime is closely tied to a drug cartel without providing any evidence. Oil blockade irrational. When the US seized the tanker, Mr. Maduro showed defiance and accused Washington of naval piracy. We have to be like warriors with one eye peeled and the others as well, he said. On Wednesday, in response to the blockade, the Venezuelan government said in a statement, the President of the United States is trying in an absolutely irrational manner to impose a supposed military naval blockade on Venezuela to steal the riches of her homeland. Venezuela will never go back to be a colony of the empire nor any other foreign power. But the Trump administration's decision to target the tankers is expected to enhance the economic pressure on the already embattled regime of Mr. Maduro. Crude sales represent more than 90% of Venezuela's export income. Venezuela is moving more than 600,000 barrels of oil daily, but the US blockade could paralyze the tanker traffic, which in turn would further squeeze the government's finance. No proof of body terrorist training in the Philippines from Manila. The Philippines said on Wednesday there was no evidence that the country was being used for terrorist training. A day after it was revealed the man behind Australia's Bondi Beach was shooting had spent time on a southern island known for Islamist insurgencies. President Ferdinand Marcos strongly rejects the sweeping statement and the misleading characterization of the Philippines as the IS training hotspot. President spokesman Clear Castro said at a press briefing, no evidence had been presented to support claims that the country was used for terrorist training, she added. There is no validated report or confirmation that individuals involved in the Body Beach incident received any form of training in the Philippines. On Tuesday, the country's immigration office confirmed that Sajid Akram and his son Navi, who killed 15 people and wounded dozens at a Hanukkah celebration on Syrian's Bondi Beach, entered the country on November headed for the southern province of Davao, the island of Mindanao, where Davao is located, has a long history of Islamist insurgencies against central government rule. Kremlin says Kremlin says European troops in Ukraine subject for discussion. News from Moscow. Amit Rowe, TN Takachi says Japan is always open to talks with China. who's from Tokyo. US expands travel ban, targets 20 nations and Palestinian Authority from Washington. Taipei says Chinese aircraft carrier sailed through Taiwanese waters from Taipei. Pollution in Delhi. Supreme Court asks MCD to suspend toll booths at entry points. No steps against old vehicles from New Delhi. The Supreme Court on Wednesday directed the Municipal Corporation of Delhi to consider temporarily suspending the operation of their nine toll booths till the air quality index improves in the national capital region. The bench headed by Chief Justice of India (CJI) Suryakant asked the municipal body to take a decision in a week and of life vehicles. In a separate direction, the apex court modified its August 12 order lifting restrictions on end-of-life vehicles from complying the capital source. The court directed that no coercive steps would be taken against the owners of BS4 and newer models of petrol and diesel vehicles over 15 and 10 years old. Respectively, this would mean that owners of BS3, BS2 and BS1 vehicles would face costly action due to their high pollution potential. The order came on a plea by the Commission of Air Quality Management, represented by Additional Solicitor General Aishwarya Bharti, that its efforts to strictly ensure tagging these end-of-life vehicles off the roads were thwarted by lack of proper cost action coupled with the Supreme Court's order on August 12 towards controlling vehicular pollution caused by old or end-of-life vehicles owing to much inferior emission standards. The Commission has taken up with the states concerned and GNCTD to strictly ensure that petrol or diesel vehicles more than 15 or 10 years old do not play the NCI. Progress in this regard, however, has been far from satisfactory. The CAQM submitted shift all bulls. The FC also asked for the MCD to come up with an absolutely complete plan to have no toll plazas next year in winter from October 1, 2026 to January 31, 2027, three of the most polluting months annually in Delhi NCR. The court noted the idea of shifting the toll booths from the entry points to other locations, which could be manned by the National Highways Authority of India for the 3 months. The NHAI could divert a part of collection to the MCD to compensate for the perceived loss for the 3 months. The court was hearing a plea that traffic snarls pace led to heavy and prolonged vehicular emissions which contribute to the pollution statistics. UP to step up road safety system from Lucknow. The authorities in Uttar Pradesh have intensified safety measures on expressways and national highways to prevent road accidents, abundance of accidents amid dense fog conditions during the winter season. Officials said on Wednesday, a day after multiple crashes left at least 25 people dead. The UP Expressways Industrial Development Authority access, which operates key access controlled highways at enhanced precautions were being put in place following these 2 days accident. PMC Med State and Industrial Graveyard from Kolkata, the West Bengal of the West Bengal unit of the Bharatiya Janata Party on Wednesday published a document West Bengal Industrial graveyard, claiming that 14 years of the Mamata Banerjee's government has turned the state from India's industrial powerhouse into a graveyard of failed policies, destroyed industries, and crushing debt. The document released by state BJP President Samik Bhattacharya along with leader of opposition Suvendu Adhikari said the Chief Minister has not only strangled industrial development but systematically looted public funds to finance populist schemes while the state grounded in 771 lakh crore rupees of debt. Yes, at Nashi event Abhishek defends TMC government Punta says from Kolkata. Farmers give ultimatum for closure of ethanol plant in Hanumangarh 13 December. Key meets administration and tight security. Congress CPI leaders Rakesh Tikant, Gurnam Singh Chudhuni and Joginder Singh Ugraha extend support to their demands from Jaipur. Farmers, farm laborers and farmer leaders who held a massive Mahapanchayat at Dhanmandi in Rajasthan, Hanumangarh on Wednesday, gave a 20-day ultimatum to the state government to stop the construction of the ethanol factory at Rathigera village. The plant assembly was supported by the local Congress and CPI leaders. Farmers' rights activists and Bharatiya Kisan Union leader Rakesh Tikant and farm union leaders Ghulam Singh Karuni and Jagidar Singh Ugraha addressed the gathering and expressed their support to the farmers' demands. Internet suspended strict security measures were taken at Anmandi, where barricades were erected and a large number of police personnel were deployed. Prohibitory orders were imposed in the town and the mobile internet services suspended. Former CPI MLA Balwan Punia and who heads the Kisan Sangharsh Smiti said the agitation would be called off only when the state government cancels the memorandum of understanding for installation of the ethanol plant. Farmers in the region fear that factory would create a livelihood crisis by making the agricultural land barren through groundwater contamination and air pollution. The 13-member delegation of protesters held talks with the district administration and put forth a demand for cancellation of MOU, withdrawal of cases filed against farmers, and action against the officials responsible for the clashes in which several persons were injured. Hanumangarh Collector Vishal Yadav assured them that a letter would be sent to the government with a recommendation to accept the demands. Counting of votes for Punjab local body polls on claims victory in 927 jobs, leading in 113 more from Chandigarh counting of votes for the Zilla Parishad and Panchayat Smiti elections in Punjab was underway on Wednesday, even as the Aam Aadmi Party claimed that it has registered win in more than 900 zones and was leading in several others so far. Complete results were expected late evening. Official exam were held out to elect members of 347 zones of 22 Zilla Parishad and 2,838 zones of 153 Panchayat Smitis on December 14. State President and Cabinet Minister Aman Arora said the results declared so far are in the party's favor. The result sentence so far indicated people's inclination towards the state government's policies, he said. In Jila Parishad, the results for 71 zones have been declared so far with winning 60 jobs. Congress 7, Shiromani Akali Dal and the BJP won each and two independents, said Mr. Arora. Almost 85% results are in favor of AAP. He said added AAP is leading in 113 jobs of the operations and 257 jobs of Panchayat Smiti. भारतीय शोधकर्ताओं की रिसर्च हम अपने सेनानियों सशस्त्र बलों उनके अटूट संकल्प और अविचल समर्पण के लिए सलाम करते हैं says प्रेसिडेंट द्रौपदी मुर्मू। मैं गोवा की जनता के उज्जवल और सुखद भविष्य की कामना करती हूँ। गोवा मुक्ति दिवस का देश औपनिवेशिक शासन से गोवा को मुक्त कराने के लिए अथक संघर्ष कराने वाले वीरों को कृतज्ञता के साथ स्मरण कर रहा है। भारत बनाम दक्षिण अफ्रीका T20 सीरीज हम अपने स्वतंत्रता सेनानियों सशस्त्र बलों को उनके अटूट संकल्प और अविचल समर्पण के लिए सलाम करते हैं। भारत सीरीज में 2-1 से आगे मैं गोवा की जनता के भविष्य की कामना करती हूँ से द्रौपदी मुर्मू। संजय सैमसन को मिल सकती है प्लेइंग 11 में जगह जीत लो सीरीज फॉर ओवर में 13 रन। अहमदाबाद में जीत लो सीरीज बुमराह की वापसी से। भारत बनाम दक्षिण अफ्रीका T20 सीरीज Tata Chemicals NCD issue nets 1,500 crore rupees from New Delhi. Tata Chemicals Limited on Wednesday said it has raised 1,500 crore rupees through the allotment of non-convertible debentures on a private placement basis. Biju to buy up to $523 billion stake in Avengers from KKR from Tokyo. India Oman to sign free trade pact today, Goel says from Delhi. Confirming India and Oman will be signing a free trade agreement on Thursday. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal said the FTA offers immense opportunities in a number of sectors, including textiles, footwear, automobiles, games, and jewelry, renewable energy, and auto components. Speaking at the India Oman Business Forum in Muscat, Mr. Goyal added India stood to gain in terms of the access Oman provides to markets such as the GCC, Eastern Europe, Central Asia, and Africa. India and Oman began talks on a comprehensive economic partnership agreement in 2023. Mr. Goyal said he and his Omani counterpart would sign the FTA in the presence of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Sultan Haitham bin Tariq. The sky is the limit in terms of potential, particularly with Oman opening the doors as a gateway to the Gulf Cooperation Council region, Eastern Europe, Central Asia, and to Africa, shared Mr. Goyal. He added there were four broad areas in which the two countries can collaborate with each other. Energy, trans, energy transition. One is in the energy transition that both are committed to, whether it's renewable sources of energy, battery storage, green hydrogen, that whole ecosystem can open up between Oman and India, he shared. The second area was infrastructure, multimodal logistics, and export waterhouses. Another area would be food security. We can help Oman ensure food security, adding there was a lot of potential in this area. The fourth area which India and Oman could work together was to develop startup ecosystem. The startups can engage with each other, build bridges, work on green tech or smart ways to work on logistics, software services, artificial intelligence. There is tremendous potential to leverage this area as a hub, Mr. Goel said. Japan's MUFG set to invest over $4 billion for Shriram Finance stake from New Delhi. Japan's Mitsubishi Financial Group is set to invest more than $4 billion for roughly 20% stake in the Indian non-bank financial company Shriram Finance, with the deal to be closed on Friday. To people with knowledge of the matter said, MUFC declined to comment while Shriram Finance did not respond to Reuters' queries. It would be the latest in a string of overseas expansion deals by Japanese banks, which are looking for stronger growth than is available in a domestic market where the population is aging and declining. India has become a popular destination due to its fast growing economy. Shriram Finance is one of India's biggest retail non-banking financial entities with assets under management at 2.8 trillion rupees or $31 billion as of September. Rupees Rupee recovers 55 paise to close at 90.38 against dollar. The rupee recovered 55 paise from its all-time low level to close at 90.38 against the US dollar after volatile trade on Wednesday. Try wants insurers to switch to 1600 series 515 Eternals Divindra Goyal tops Guru India list. Microfinance launched a set for quarter low as of September 2025. Sadhan, the quality of microfinance loans has been improving since December 2024, says the report. From New Delhi, the quality of microfinance loan has been improving since December 2024 with the ratio of delinquencies. Delinquencies falling steadily since then and coming in at a four-quarter low in the September 2025 quarter, according to the latest quarterly microfinance report by Microfinance Self-Regulatory Body Sadhan. For example, the ratio of loans outstanding more than 90 days after their due date has fallen to 3.27% in the quarter ended September 2025 from 4% in the December 2024 quarter. The microfinance sector has shown steady improvement since December 2024, signaling the start of its recovery after an extended period of pandemic-induced financial stress, the report said. Loan stress is categorized into several buckets and is measured in terms of the percentage of the portfolio at risk in each of these stress buckets. For example, the share of the overall portfolio, that is more than 180 days past due, is donated as per 180 plus. The report pointed out that each of the stress buckets had shown improvement except the PL plus. The elevated levels in this category remain largely a legacy issue carried forward from the pandemic and the portfolio at the end of 2023. SEBI reviews decades old blockage norms decide to cut maximum expense ratio by 215 bps, cap on brokerage, segment cut to 6 bps for cash market, 2 bps on derivative transaction. The Securities and Exchange Board of India, SEBI, on Wednesday revised the total expense ratio charged by mutual funds, reviewed the two-decade-old broker age regulation, and proposed to discuss public comments on the high-level committee regarding its report on conflict of interest. Return words. return what's first male beneficiary of Bihar scheme for women from Patna. Days, days after the Bihar government sent notices to a few male residents of Darbhanga's jail block seeking the return of 10,000 rupees wrongly credited to their accounts under the Mukhyamantri Mahila Rozgar Yojana. Some of them have claimed that the amount has been already spent, while others insist that the government should first return their votes if it wants the money back. Kabaddi player murder. Key accused shot dead in Mohali encounter from Mohali. One of the key accused in the killing of a 30-year-old Kabaddi player Khan promoter in Mohali was shot dead here Wednesday by police in an encounter in which two head constables were also injured. UP violence charge sheets in three more cases against Larry from Bareilly. The police have filed charge sheets in three more cases against Chhattisgarh liquor scam ex-bureaucrat got 115 crore rupees claim CD from Raipur. The Directorate of Enforcement has arrested suspended bureaucrat Soumya Chaurasia in connection with a money laundering case linked to an alleged legal scam that surfaced during the previous Congress government in Chhattisgarh. Defiant Chavan demands inquiry into Operation Sindhu as BJP seeks his apology. Our comments country needs to know the truth. What is wrong? If I ask questions to the political leadership, I want to know if India is safe in Modi's hands. Prithviraj Chavan, senior Congress leader, said former Union Minister and former Maharashtra Chief Minister Prithviraj Chavan on Wednesday demanded a thorough inquiry into Operation Sindoor and the Pahalgam attack after stating that there was no question of tendering an apology for his remarks made by a day earlier. Five, five trampled to death by white elephants in Jharkhand. HP CM Haryana Madhya Pradesh CM promises to clear all mentioned areas by 2027. Deepak Bro can't cite law and order to violate court rulings. High Court tells Tamil Nadu government. Order has to be obeyed unless stayed or set aside by higher form, says Justice D.R. Swaminathan of Madurai bench, unable to comply with court's directions in certain situations. Chief Secretary says that flouting orders would be inexcusable amount to breakdown of law and order, lead to paralysis of the constitutional machinery. Justice G.R. Swaminathan, Madurai bench, Madras High Court says from Madurai. Government officials cannot cite law and order to flout court orders. Justice G.R. Swaminathan of the Madurai bench of the Madras High Court said on Wednesday while hearing two contempt of court cases, including one related to the lighting of the Kartikai Deepam at the Pathur pillar on Thiruparakundram Hill. The judges was dissatisfied with the explanation given by the Chief Secretary and Muruganandam when a court issues an order, unless it is stayed or set aside by a high form, it has to be obeyed. Of course, there could be cases where a judicial order cannot be implemented, but law and order cannot be ground for flouting a court's order. That would be inexcusable. That would amount to breakdown of law and order. That would lead to analysis of the constitutional machinery, the judge said. Pursuant to the court direction, Mr. Muruganathan and Additional Director General of Police, Law and Order, S. Davidson Desivaradham appeared before the court via video conferencing. Taking a serious view of the matter, the judge said the chief secretary was called upon to clarify whether the collectors of Madurai and Dindigul had issued prohibitory orders under Section 163 of BNSS 2023 entirely on their own or instruction. The court said the attention of the chief secretary was drawn to yet another instance in Dindigul district where the construction of a church, which was being built without prior approval, continued even after the court granted an injunction against it. The place is being used for congregation worship. That is why I directed the local authorities to take immediate action. But the authorities appear to be afraid to even touch the building, the judge said. Convenient flag leave. One has to draw an adverse conclusion as to why the authorities are hesitant. Law and order appears to be a convenient flag leave. He added, I am tired. In how many cases am I to haul up the officers concerned for contempt? Even today, the chief secretary who was reading out from a prepared text said even though they had high regard for the judiciary, they had to take into account law and order issues while implementing the court's orders. This is unacceptable, the judge said. The bench adjourned the case to January 9, 2026. I expect the chief secretary to take a responsible stand even while answering the question posted at the outset, he said. At the outset, he said. The governor, the governor, including Madurai Collector K.J. Praveen Kumar and Commissioner of Police J. Loganathan were present. The court said further appearance of the governor was not dispensed with. The chief secretary told the court that the officials respected its orders and had no intention to disobey them. However, in certain situations where they had to prefer appeal in cases of conflicting orders, law and order issues, and financial matters, they were unable to comply with the orders. He added, the judge said it was their duty to follow the court orders. Goa court orders fresh health checkup of Luthra brothers from Panji. A court in North Goa on Wednesday ordered fresh medical examination of Gaurav and Saurabh Luthra, co-owners of the Bush by Romeo Lane nightclub after they were produced there. The brothers who were brought to Goa from Delhi earlier in the day after being deported from Thailand in connection with the December 6 fire incident that killed 25 persons were produced in the court in Mapusa after undergoing health checkup at the district hospital in North Goa. The court directed that the accused be sent for fresh medical examination. Accordingly, the two were again taken to the district hospital. The team of the Goa police, along with the Luthra brothers, arrived at the Manohar International Airport, Mopa, in North Goa at 10:45 a.m. Case registered after the fire tragedy at Arpora village. Yajuna police had registered a case against the Luthra brothers on various charge sheets. रक्षा मंत्री से मिले नीदरलैंड्स विदेश मंत्री डेविड मैन गोवा मुक्ति दिवस हमें हमारी राष्ट्रीय यात्रा के एक निर्णायक अध्याय का स्मरण कराता है क्रिसमस न्यू ईयर पर चलेगी स्पेशल ट्रेनें हम उन लोगों की अदम्य भावना को याद करते हैं प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी जी सेज जिन्होंने अन्याय स्वीकार करने से इनकार किया और साहस तथा दृढ़ संकल्प के साथ स्वतंत्रता के लिए संघर्ष किया मध्य रेलवे 18 और दक्षिण मध्य रेलवे 26 रेल चलाएगा। उनके बलिदान हमें गोवा के चौमुखी विकास के ले जाते हैं, निरंतर कार्य करने की प्रेरणा देते हैं। दक्षिण पूर्व मध्य रेलवे 12 रेल चला रहा है। वह मुक्ति दिवस हमें हमारी राष्ट्रीय यात्रा के एक निर्णायक अध्याय का स्मरण कराता है। यूपी विधानमंडल का शीतकालीन सत्र आज से शुरू। केरला हाई स्प्रेड electrification with the truck corridor under PM drive from Trivandrum. Kerala hopes to develop a model electric truck corridor along National Highway 66 as part of the state's efforts to promote freight electrification under the center's PM Electric Drive Innovation, Electric Drive Revolution in Innovation Vehicle Enhancement Scheme. Row over religious preaching at college in Tirupati from Tirupati. New allegations have been made in the recent incident of the contract lecturer allegedly delivering religious teachings at Sri Venkateshwara Government Polytechnic in Tirupati, Andhra Pradesh. Minister apologizes for mistaken welfare scheme data from Belagavi. Dubbing artist union accepts resignation of Bhagya Lakshmi from Kochi. The Union of Dubbing Artists affiliated to the Film Employees Federation of Kerala has accepted the resignation of dubbing artist Bhagya Lakshmi from the body on December 9 in protest against the Federation moves to reinstate actor Dilip after he was acquitted by the Ernakulam Principal Sessions Court in 2017 actor rape case. Combat the nominees who had 6,476 panchayats in Telangana. Former Division Board officials held from Trivandrum. Ayyappa's song parody triggers law in Kerala from Trivandrum. Karnataka High Court passes interim order on child custody norms. Retired IAS officers to lead panel on Amravati project. Congress leader questions compromise on VC postings. Speaker rejects petitions to disqualify 5 BRS legislators. Telangana Assembly Speaker Gadam Prashad Kumar said after hearing both sides that petitioners failed to submit sufficient proof to substantiate their claim that the MLAs had switched sides. From Hyderabad, in a major political development, Telangana Legislative Assembly Speaker Pratam Prashad Kumar has dismissed the disqualification petition filed against 5 Bharat Rashtriya Samiti MLAs. The Speaker, who delivered his verdict on the petition of 5 BRS MLAs, modern traditional medicine will be integrated in phases. From New Delhi, India has been gradually moving towards a more integrated and collaborative approach between modern and traditional systems of medicine rather than forcing a sudden or complete merger. According to Ayush Secretary Vedya Rajesh Kotecha, a top official from the Union Ministry of Ayurveda, Yoga and Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha, and homeopathy, known as Ayush, was speaking exclusively to the personals around the World Health Organization Second Global Summit on Traditional Medicine, jointly organized with the Government of India. The summit started on Wednesday, bringing together practitioners from more than 100 countries discussing the integration of therapies. The secretary said that the emphasis is on a rational approach where each system contributes according to its strengths. The summit is an opportunity to engage constructively with the global community on strengthening integration of traditional medicine. A key focus will be on sharing India's experience in institutional frameworks for education and service delivery across various systems, he said. Pilot bodies complained to House panel on corruption in DGCA and Ministry from New Delhi. Pilot bodies have released deep-rooted corruption in the Directorate General of Civil Aviation and the Ministry of Civil Aviation before the parliamentary panel and met to discuss the operational meltdown at Indio since early December, which led to the cancellation of over 5,000 flights affecting at least 12.5 lakh passengers. The department related Parliament Standing Committee on Transport, Tourism and Culture, chaired by Sanjay K. Jha, called a meeting to review the impact of revised rest and duty norms for pilots and triggered the largest flight cancellations because of gaps in planning adequate fuel. Indian Army leaves for desert cyclone military exercise. An Indian Army contingent has departed for the United Arab Emirates, UAE, to participate in the second second edition of the Indian UAE Joint Military Exercise. Desert Cyclone 2 bomb threat emails sent to 10 private schools in Ahmedabad. As many as 10 private schools in Ahmedabad received emails with bomb threats on Wednesday, prompting security alerts and precautionary measures across the city. Police later said the threats were hoaxes, as no suspicious subjects were found during searches. Bombay High Court allows Gautam Nagla Khan to relocate to Delhi. ICC ship Sarthak make first port call at Iran's Chabahar Guardian Coast Guard. Ship Sarthak, an offshore patrol vessel, entered the Chabahar port in Iran on December 16 for a 4-day visit in December 19, according to Defense Ministry. LMC to add prescription writing in MBBS syllabus from New Delhi, the National Medical Commission. NMC had instructed all medical colleges to set up subcommittees for monitoring prescription practices and also include in the curriculum the importance of writing legible and clear prescription in a communication sent from December 15 to the secretaries and principal secretaries of the health departments of all states and union territories and directorates and deans of all medical institutions. Under it, the NMC said the directive was based on orders of the Punjab and Haryana High Court issued on August 27. The court directed the NMC to mandate sharing on clear and legible prescription rating in medical curriculum across India. The subcommittee shall develop a structured plan for systematic appraisal of prescriptions to assess compliance with applicable regulations and guidelines. It will review and analyze prescription pattern, identify deviations, and recommends corrective measures for improving adherence. Convicted minister in Maharashtra loses all portfolios to appeal. Sessions Court upheld his 2 year sentence in 1995 housing scam case. Ajit Pawar given charge of sports, youth welfare, minorities walk out from Mumbai. On a day when a Nasik court upheld the conviction of Maharashtra Minister and NCP leader Manik Protect Governor of Maharashtra Acharya Devrat accepted Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis' recommendations to take away all the portfolios from him. MP government forms panel investigate HIV infection case. The children tested positive between January and May, but the case came to light only on Tuesday from Bhopal. The Madhya Pradesh government has formed a committee to investigate the case of 6 children getting infected with human immunoglobulin deficiency virus. And recently, from contaminated blood transfusions at the Satna District Hospital and other facilities in the state, as per an order issued by Tarun Rathi, Commissioner, Public Health and Medical Education Department on Tuesday. The six-member panel has been asked to submit a detailed report within 7 days. The committee will be headed by Dr. Satya Awadia, Regional Director of the department's division. The six children aged between 3 and 15 and suffering from thalassemia tested positive for the virus between January and May, according to officials. However, the matter came to light only on Tuesday. Deputy Chief Minister Rajendra Shukla, who also holds the health portfolio, said the children are being treated at the Integrated Counseling and Testing Center under the guidance of central government agencies and that a state level committee has been formed to probe the matter and press the donors. Children suffering from thalassemia are given blood 2 or 3 times in a month. It's not necessary that the blood is given from one particular center. It is being told that some children had also visited Jabalpur, which could have happened there, and some private centers. Mr. Shukla said, speaking to the media earlier, Satna collector Satish Kumar has said an internal investigation at the hospital level has also been launched into the matter. Mr. Manoj Shukla, the chief medical and health officer in charge and civil surgeon of the district hospital, said he had issued a show cause notice to the nodal officer of the National AIDS Control Organization as the matter was not brought to his attention. भगवान शरणार्थियों पर जबरदस्त निर्वासन जो हमें याद दिलाता है एक निर्णायक अध्याय का समन का प्रोग्राम में भारतीय सहायक उच्चायुक्त के पास हमला हम में भावना को याद करते हैं जिन्होंने युवा को याद आजाद कराया मैंने साहस दृढ़ संकल्प के साथ स्वतंत्रता के लिए संघर्ष किया भगवान हम उनके बलिदान को निरंतर याद करते रहने की प्रेरणा के युवा की आजादी से we we India needs year-round action to tackle fallout of change in weather. The fall season has commenced in India, kickstarting the annual cycle of adversity, accidents and chaos in northern India. The spike in particulate matter pollution after monsoon winds and how it lays bare the year-round unmitigated pollution, now characteristic of not only Delhi, its surrounding capital, regions and vast swathes of the Indo-Gangetic plains. The changing patterns of India's student migration. India's latest wave of student migration marks a decisive shift that is no longer confined to elite universities or programs that are fully funded. Today's migration is characterized by self-financed graduation, where middle-class households invest heavily in the promise of a global degree and upward social mobility. The Ministry of External Affairs data, more than 13.2 lakh Indian students were enrolled in over 70 countries by 2023, which rose to 13.35 lakh in 2024 and projected to reach 13.8 lakh in 2025. The true picture, while all this is seen by some as a democratization of foreign education, with the doors opening to students from different socio-economic classes, the reality is more complex. Many of the students are channeled into lower tier institutions and vocational colleges, into courses often unrelated to their expertise. and without much job prospects due to recruitment agencies that operate in a grey legal zone. The partnership between recruitment networks and best credible private colleges abroad is driven primarily by commission and profit, reflecting primarily by commission and profit, reflecting the largely unregulated expansion of the foreign education industry. The rapid expansion of Indian student migration points to contradictions between aspiration and outcome and opportunity and exploitation. Change for the worse. The move to alter Manregas beyond recognition must be dropped. The Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar and Azivika Mission Gramin or BB Sri Ramji Bill tabled in the Lok Sabha on Tuesday to replace the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Bills to be rejected for more than one reason: man pressure, but also the fundamental character of the existing scheme. This marks yet another attempt by the BJP-led government and the center to reduce the size of the development space to states. The only plausible reason for the name change is the fact that the BJP's ideological master, the RSS, had strong differences with Gandhi. The use of Gandhi's name in 20-year-old scheme signifies the link to his Ram Swaraj concept that gives importance to democratic decentralization. But the new bill, by making the union government virtually the sole decision maker in the proposed law, will not make any positive contribution in this direction. Supporters of the government point out that the increase in the days of work to 125 in a year is a major benefit for people in rural India. But the data on employment given to households under the Manrega reveal that it was only during 2025 to 20 to 21, the COVID-19 pandemic year, that 9.5%, nearly 7.2 million of households actually worked for 100 days over the last 2 days. Over the last 2 years, only around 7% of families could get the full quota. The story of we, the story of we, the moving people, the special intensive revision of the electoral rolls census 2027 and delimitation will sharpen the migrant imprint on Indian politics. Citizenship is tied to a person's residency in a delimited territory. A citizen is ordinarily expected to be residing in a particular location. The migration of the people across borders, international or within a country, dislocates this presumed overlap between citizenship and territory, causing a conceptual drift. Neither governments nor political parties are fully equipped to deal with this, and what we see around the world is public among us that is being harnessed for mobilization against recent immigrants, mass deportation, and efforts to clean up voters' list. In India, the Election Commission of India (ECI) is undertaking a special intensive revision of the electoral laws, pushing back against challenges to the move. The ECI told the Supreme Court of India rapid urbanization and frequent migration of population from one place to another on account of education, livelihood, and other reasons have become a regular trend. Some electors obtain registration in one place and then shift their residence and register themselves at another place without getting their names deleted from the electoral roll of the initial place of residence. This has led to an increased possibility of repeated entries in the electoral roll. Thus, the ECI came to the conclusion that the situation warrants the conduct of a pan-India SIR beginning with the state of Bihar. Under President Donald Trump, the United States Department of Justice asked all 50 states to hand over their full voter registration databases, arguing that access to complete electoral rolls was necessary to enforce federal election laws. The move triggered resistance from several states. This push coincided with the sweeping executive order signed by Mr. Trump to reshape federal election procedures, including a requirement for documentary proof of U.S. citizenship, such as the passport or birth certificates. Measures supporters say strengthen election integrity, but which critics warn could undermine state autonomy and restrict voter access. Around 22 million, 24 million non-citizens are in the U.S. legally. Estimates of undocumented residents vary, but run into the millions. In India and the US, the notion of ally, the notion of alien voters influencing politics is strong. The rise in those moving out, though the proportion of international immigrants in the world's population has remained broadly stable over the decades, the absolute number of migrants has grown rapidly. Migrants as a proportion of the global population may have increased by only about the percentage point since 1960, according to most estimates, but the number of people living outside the country of birth has expanded dramatically from about 154 billion in 1990 to over 300 billion by mid 2024, nearly doubling in just 3 decades and rising faster than the overall global population growth. In Western countries, nativist populism is linked to the rise in the proportion of foreign residents in the US. About 14 to 15% of the population is foreign born. Up from roughly 13% in 2010, the United Kingdom has been a sharp transformation. The share of those foreign born rose from about 8% in 2001 to roughly 16% by 2021. Canada has one of the highest proportions among large economies, with about 22% of population foreign born. Australia stands out with amount with around 31% to 32% of its population born overseas. Immigration is among the top three issues for voters in most developed countries in 2025, though its intensity as a concern has reduced a bit. Governments want to regulate and manage the flow of people. India wants to exploit human resources, euphemism for sending more people abroad for jobs. Rich countries that need young workers are increasingly not wanting them to stay on and claim citizenship, but to leave after a certain number of years. Returning migrants will bring back new social and political attitudes in their host countries. Policies and migration. Indian government policies have also encouraged migration from rural to urban areas and to specific regions such as Kashmir in 2020. The rules for domicile in Jammu and Kashmir were relaxed, allowing non-locals such as government officials posted for 10 years, agents for 15 years, and students for 7 years to obtain domicile status with access to jobs and property, while critics argue that these changes are intended to alter the region's demographic composition. The government maintains that they are meant to facilitate development and integrate birthright citizenship. Moving people is now challenging. Even the idea of birthright citizenship is in countries where it once existed unquestioned. The Trump administration is trying to overturn a long-held interpretation of the U.S. Constitution that all those born in the U.S. are eligible for citizenship. Until recently, an estimated 300,000 people, 30,000 people were traveling to the US annually to give birth. And there were tour companies that made this a business model. A 2015 law made it legal for people to seek visas for giving birth in the US, but in 2020, with the rise of Trump era nepotism. This was withdrawn. India, through a change in the citizenship law, has barred children born to an illegal immigrant from acquiring citizenship by birth. Moving people moves the history of humankind. Moving people is remaking the politics of India. The changes will become visible through the census, the SIR, and then delimitation, which will redistribute Lok Sabha representation across the state borders for the first time in half a century. नागरिक उड्डयन मंत्रालय तो भारत के कई हिस्सों में घना कोहरा हवाई अड्डों पर परिचालन प्रभावित होने की आशंका उड़ानों के संचालन पर असर पड़ सकता है जीरा बिल पास यात्रियों से एयरलाइन से संपर्क में रहने की अपील यात्रियों को आधिकारिक प्लेटफॉर्म्स पर अपडेट चेक करने की सलाह बांग्लादेश में फिर भड़की हिंसा यात्रा के लिए अतिरिक्त समय रखने का परामर्श हवाई अड्डों पर यात्री सहायता टीमें तैनात National says anti-collision system installed on 2,000 kilometers of rail network from New Delhi. Union Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw on Wednesday informed the Lok Sabha that the indigenous anti-collision Kavach safety system had been fully commissioned on over 2,000 kilometers of the rail network. Harvard economist backs simultaneous calls, flags challenges from New Delhi, holding simultaneous elections to legislatures at the state and union levels will be a positive step from an economic standpoint. According to Harvard economist Geeta Gopinath, a former chief economist and first deputy managing director at the International Monetary Fund, however, she cautioned that the implementation of the proposed reform will require careful planning to address logistical complexities according to sources. MS Gopinath was briefing the Parliamentary Joint Committee reviewing the Constitution 129th Amendment Bill 2024, which aims to introduce simultaneous election. The panel met Sanjeev Goyal, Sanjeev Sanyal, a member of the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister, who backed simultaneous elections could suffer investment. In a written submission to the panel, Ms. Gopinath reportedly said that synchronizing the Lok Sabha and Assembly elections could reduce prolonged periods of policy uncertainty and suffer economic activity. National Herald Order should be warning against misuse of central agencies, cases from Delhi, referred job scheme bill to House panel Congress MPs from Delhi. Prasar Bharati drafts policy to monetize television OTT content from New Delhi. RS passes bill for 100% FDI insurance sector. During debate, opposition says bill should be sent to select committee of parliament given its far-reaching impact. House passes repealing and amending bill that annuls 21 obsolete laws from Delhi. Bill to replace Manrega faces criticism. TDP flags increased burden on state from New Delhi. The Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar and Agniveer and Ajivika Mission Gramin Bill 2025 which seeks to replace the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act faced opposition both within and outside the parliament, even as the Lok Sabha began a debate on the bill. The government, ignoring the demands from the opposition, has conveyed its intent to pass the bill in the ongoing session of parliament and parliament that concludes on Friday. The opposition in parliament and activists outside criticize the new legislation for unending, for upending the demand-driven architecture of the Manrega, renewing its university removing its universality, centralization of decision making, and increasing the financial burden on the state government. Supreme Court transfers Shiv Education article rape to Kolkata High Court from New Delhi. The Supreme Court on Wednesday transferred the Shiv case registered after the brutal rape of a trainee Dr. Arjigal Medical College and Hospital in West Bengal to the Calcutta High Court for further monitoring and directions. The bench of Justice Shannon Sundresh and Satish Chandra Sharma requested the Chief Justice of High Court to constitute an appropriate division bench to hear the petitions. The bench directed the Supreme Court Registry to provide a copy of the CJ status report to the father of the victim, Senior Advocate Karunanandi, appeared for doctors in West Bengal and the parents of the victim. The two court declined MS Nandesh's plea To transfer the cases to the Delhi High Court, the body of the postgraduate training doctor was found in the hospital's seminar room on August 9 last year. The Kolkata police arrested Sanjay Roy, receiving volunteer the following day. On January 20 this year, the Kolkata trial court awarded Roy lifetime imprisonment till death in the case. The Supreme Court, even after the primary conviction, has continued to monitor multiple ancillary issues. While taking Shiomoto cognizance of the case, the Home Court had constituted a national task force on August 20 last year to formulate a protocol to ensure the safety and security of medical professionals in the wake of the incident. In November last year, the LTF, in its report submitted as part of the central government's affidavit, stated that a separate central law to deal with offences against healthcare professionals was not required. The panel said that state laws contain adequate provisions to address minor offences, in addition to provisions under the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023 against serious offences. ED searches premises on view claiming to be ministers of Manipur from Delhi. The enforcement of Directorate on Tuesday conducted searches against Jambam Bailan and Naringbal Samarjit, who are associated with the Shalai group of companies. Uttarakhand Governor returns UGC religious conversion bills from New Delhi is in a setback to the Pushkar Singh Dhami led Uttarakhand government. Governor Lieutenant General Gurmeet Singh has returned the amendment bill related to the Uniform Civil Code and the state's Freedom of Religion and Prohibition of Unlawful Conversion Act, citing technical flaws. Sources in the government confirmed that the government's office has returned the bills. Apart from some grammatical and technical errors, the governor has also raised issues with a punishment term for a couple of offences in the new legislation that officials involved in the drafting of the bills told the personals. He added that since the bills bills have now come back from the governor's office, they will have to be redrafted manually. The mistakes pointed out and addressing other technical breaches. The government then will be left with two opposition either pass the amendments by bringing an ordinance or get them passed again in the state assembly and send them again for the governor's consideration. The official added, although the state government has claimed that the governor's office returned the bills due to minor faults, the Congress turned the move a tactic to keep the issues alive in public memory ahead of the assembly elections due in 2027. If they were just minor flaws, the governor's office would have unofficially sent them back for correction. It is just a technique of the government to recall the bills and once again pass them in the assembly sometime around the election, which are due in early 2027 because the BJP has already used all its divisive tactics to win election and now they are left with nothing new. Uttarakhand Congress Vice President Surekar Das Delhi commissioned the second MHR 60R quarter squadron the Spiders, the Ospreys at INS Hansha from New Delhi. NIA arrested linchpin in the arms trafficking case from New Delhi. Eight officials, three juveniles held over death at Risha School hostel from Bhubaneswar. India calls for safety of its mission in Dhaka. Lok Sabha passes nuclear energy bill in 2008. The Bharatiya Janata Party had moved a non-confidence motion against the Mohan Singh governor for, among other things, the absence of such a clause. Subsequently, this was also a reason for the lack of foreign participation in India's nuclear sector despite the US-India nuclear deal that granted India a waiver from nuclear supplies with sanction as it opened foreign companies to potentially unlimited liability. I now see that there is no reference to suppliers, God forbid, if there is an accident, student or an supplier will liable. Mr. Tiwari question. Muslim dominated segments made the battle in Bengal SIR to top 20 assembly constituencies with lowest share of unmapped population suggest SIR likely hit migrants from Bangladesh or from Kolkata. Nehru papers not meshing with Sonia since 2008 sent messages from Delhi. The response comes in the wake of claims and counterclaims over access to the archival material. The record high number of Indians deported from US in 2025. Saris exports in 1974 to 75. New Delhi, December 17, India's export to trade in saris amounted to a little over rupees 7.5 crores in 1974 to 5. A segment that goes beyond ordinary rising profit outlines the government's vision 2047. Overseas will retrace migrant workers. The legislation billed as a sleek upgrade to the 1983 Immigration Act is a version of the regulation dressed in the grab of efficiency. In the shadow of India's economic ascent, billions of its citizens, predominantly from Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and Kerala, embark on various journey abroad, chasing the might trade, chasing the mirage of dignity through sweat and sacrifice. These are India's labor migrants, construction workers, scaling Gulf strikers, domestic helpers, scrolling cloth in our mansions, factories, factory hands assembling gadgets in Southeast Asian sweatshops. या हवाई अड्डों पर यात्री सहायता टीमें तैनात नागरिक उड्डयन मंत्रालय की एडवाइजरी उत्तर भारत के कई हिस्सों में घना कोहरा हवाई अड्डों पर परिचालन प्रभावित होने की आशंका ओमान ने प्रधानमंत्री के ऑर्डर ऑफ ओमान से नवाजा ओमान ने प्रधानमंत्री को ऑर्डर ऑफ ओमान से नवाजा इथियोपिया ने भी दिया पीएम को सर्वोच्च नागरिक सम्मान अब तक 29 देश पीएम मोदी के को दे चुके हैं सर्वोच्च नागरिक सम्मान यात्रा के लिए अतिरिक्त समय रखने का परामर्श इथियोपिया ने भी दिया पीएम को सर्वोच्च नागरिक सम्मान हवाई अड्डों पर यात्री सहायता टीमें तैनात forgotten for dreams the story of six uprooted from Kashmir post partition in 1947 as India and Pakistan were torn apart by partition. A little known invasion unfolded in Jammu and Kashmir. A new documentation from the 1947 partition archives tells the story of Dalip Singh Deepak, revealing a chapter of history often erased from South Asia's collective memory. The broader partition of discourse in South Asia has often overlooked the horrors endured by the people of Jammu and Kashmir during the tribal raids in 1947. Works like Freedom at Midnight and Midnight's Furies mention it only in passing. Only a handful of works by authors and survivors from JNK offer deeper context. Eyewitness testimonies and vital historical detail that illuminate and reasons largely forgotten trauma. One of the earliest and eyewitness accounts is Krishna Mehta's memoir, Kashmir 47 to 48. Survivor story, Mehta, wife of Thailand, Cambodia border clashes flared up again. Why is the border between the two countries contested? How did the US broker a ceasefire? The stories of Thailand on December 8, Thailand launched strikes into Cambodia after clashes erupt along with their disputed border, with both sides accusing each other of breaching the US brokered ceasefire in October of December 12. Calls with both leaders, President Trump stated that Thailand and Cambodia had agreed to cease all shooting. However, Thailand has vowed to continue military extraction until threats are neutralized. How is the Aravalli to be protected? How do the Aravalli hills and ranges prevent the desertification of the Indian-Gangetic land? What were the recommendations of the Central Empowered Committee? Was it necessary to arrive at a uniform definition of the Aravalli Hills, as the Supreme Court come to demand, mining in the range, number of government schools with zero number of Afghan of refugees, campus shut down by Pakistan, number of national highway projects behind schedule, EU members who voted to delay the deforestation law, number of posts currently vacant in the Delhi police. युवा नेता उस्मान हादी चट्टोग्राम में भारतीय साहित्य सहयोग के पास हमले तोड़फोड़ लैंग्वेज इन कन्वर्सेशन what's taking you so long? I have dropped the name 100 times now. Dear Moon, I am flying in from the Arctic, which explains the delay. What's on your mind? Jerry, yesterday, two snakes came to our backyard. We were frightened. My father saw them but couldn't find them. Then an elderly man came to our house and played his ball like flute. Within minutes, the snakes emerged and he placed them in his bag. Moon, the elderly man is a snake shaman. He is trained in the art of charming snakes, but the word charm is used here in a different sense. In this context, it means to control and mesmerize snakes. What he plays isn't a flute, it's a pungi pronounced P-U-N-G, with K-U-N as in sun and one, and G as the letter G. That's also called a beam or when also snakes don't really come, they slither into the garden. Wow, Zanny, this is. I have been rubbing the lamp to instantly. I want to impress my English teacher, Jenny. It strikes me now that my father has cleared the business in our backyard and laid concrete flooring. Could a snake still slither in? I suspect my neighbor. He speaks pleasantly to my father, but my mother asks him not to trust the man. Moon, your neighbor may be a snake in the grass. How can a human being be a snake? Moon, it refers to an unpleasant person who can't be trusted. I am beginning to doubt my uncle too, Jenny. My father has always treated him well and taken care of his needs. Yet he turned treacherous over time. Moon, then your uncle is a snake or viper in your father's bosom. The two idioms sound similar, but the distinction becomes clear when you reflect on them. I see the distinction now. Zenny, one refers to a potential betrayal you need to be wary of, and the other refers to someone who has already betrayed your trust. Yes, Moon. Zenny, there is something about my neighbor I don't like. He presents himself as a good person and appears agreeable, but his words are always sharp and critical. His speech carries a biting edge, often resorting to acerbic and malicious remarks. Moon, non-native speakers might say, your uncle has a snake tongue. There is nothing incorrect about the phrase, but it just isn't idiomatic. In standard usage, we say, he speaks with a formed tongue. That's interesting, Jenny. My neighbor is a salesman. He once sold my father an oil, promising that it would cure all his pain. My father applied for 6 months, but it made no difference. Moon, your neighbor is a snake oil salesman, and what he sold is snake oil. In the 9th century, Chinese laborers brought oil from water snakes to the US to soothe their sore joints, and it had some medicinal effect. The meaning the town shifted with charlatans such as Clark Stanley, the self-styled rattlesnake king, whose so-called magical cures contained no real snake oil. Since then, snake oil has been a fake remedy, and a snake oil salesman refers to a persuasive charlatan selling false promises. I would like to thank all my brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, students, scholars, teacher, trainer, professor, professional, officer, official, distant learners. I thank all respected doctors and director. I thank all admirable administrator and manager. I thank all honorable advocates and administrator. I thank the most honorable president, Shrimati. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Nice to see all of you. Thank you.